Hello, everyone. I wanted to come to you to share a little thought about something that happened with a client of mine, and it's in regards to how we change and how we approach change. So, are you the type of person who is an all or nothing approach type person when it comes to change, or do you look to do things potentially one piece at a time, so small steps? And I know that you've probably already heard a lot about small steps, but I think that this is really kind of this is a great complement to small steps. So oftentimes when we are trying to make some kind of a change and we jump in with all or nothing, we can end up finding ourselves becoming very frustrated by failure once again, because it's either just too hard to do it with this all or nothing approach, or you're literally making a situation that is doable kind of impossible. So I had a person, a client of mine, who was trying to make some changes in regards to gluten. And the tests that we did for her and the symptoms that she showed actually proved that she had a gluten intolerance. And so we wanted to make sure that we were able to address that right away. That was a primary concern for us. And so, in addition, this person is in a very, very high stress career and has very low time availability for making changes, really. And in just that respect, just even thinking about making gluten-free changes and that kind of thing. So it was much harder for her to consider making any changes, especially gluten-free. But she's the type of person also that does not shy away from any kind of challenge. And so she was willing to go for it. And she had a bunch of symptoms that really, really spurred her forward and motivated her to make these changes. So this person is dedicated, they're motivated, they were trying to be consistent. Their symptoms were things like bloating, depression was a huge one, gas, irritability, fatigue, lots of fatigue. And then horrible cravings in the evening time. So she would literally just binge when she came home from work. And then lots of sleep disturbances too. So what we ended up doing was, even though I felt like she was setting herself up for failure, and I encouraged her not to work on the all or nothing, she felt that that was going to be her only way to do it. Fast forward about 3 weeks, and she told me that there was no way that this was going to happen. And even though she was feeling as bad as she was from a symptom standpoint, she could not see how she could do anything gluten-free. And one of her comments was that she couldn't even start to look at, like, it was overwhelming to look at what foods that she was eating were gluten-free, which ones weren't, not even trying to look at what foods she could replace them with that would be gluten-free. And I had provided her actually with a pretty comprehensive list of gluten-free products and gluten-free exchanges and things like that. So even with all of that information, she still felt completely overwhelmed. So I shared with her, I said, what if we do the one or more approach? And she asked what that was. And what I shared with her is, I said, what if you just look at one time or more per day when you're eating something? You don't think about, what do I need to do to make this gluten-free or any of that kind of stuff, but you just become aware of the food that you're eating, and you throw the question out there, I wonder if this is gluten-free. Do that once a day, once or more, one or more. And so she said, yeah, but that's not going to make me gluten free. And I said, I know, but it's going to help you become successful so that every day, if your goal, because she's a very goal oriented person, every day, if your goal is just to be aware one or more times per day, if something that she's already eating is gluten free, just the awareness that she's making a step forward. So she was skeptical, but she did it. And in a week, we checked back in with each other, and she was a completely different person using this approach, to the effect of she not only now was thinking one or more as far as just being aware, but she was also just on her own starting to understand which foods she could exchange for ones that were not gluten-free. So she was able to start looking at the resources that I'd shared with her, and it changed her whole mindset about making the change and how to make this change. So that's what I want to leave you with. So one or more is very different than if we say, I'm going to be aware of 3 things today that are, whether or not those are gluten-free. I'm just going to have 3 things that I'm going to be aware of. And when we do that, we can set ourselves up for failure because it might be too much. But one or more is very doable. For some people, I've even started saying 0 or more, because then it's just on their radar. And 0 is something that we can all obviously accomplish on any given task. But that is something that has also helped people a lot with, again, understanding and becoming more comfortable with a small step and a small step approach that leaves you with a lot of success in between each of those small steps. And that's really what one or more and that concept is all about. So I'm going to share a lot more about this in the coming weeks. If you follow me on Facebook or LinkedIn, and look forward to that. I look forward to seeing you there. Thanks. Hope this was helpful. Bye.